So this lesson's all about launch story themes, and I've got 7 story themes that work really well in your launches. These are proven story themes that grab people's attention and they keep them engaged. They pull prospects into your marketing and it helps them identify with you. So I'm going to jump right into this. So these are ones that I've used over and over in my launch. Not all of them, but this first one is the reluctant hero. And this is sort of been one of my go-tos over the years because I really tend to be reluctant about a lot of things I do because I'm super lifestyle focused. I love to have a great life. I love to be outdoors. I love to be with my family. And so I'm very, very careful about taking on new projects. So there's infinite new projects, new products I could put out there, but I avoid them because I'm very protective of my time. And so back in the days when I was publishing about the stock market, I came out with this, it was a home study product. It was on CDs and DVDs and books, and it was all about how to trade the market. And I literally had people asking me about that for years because we published a newsletter every day about the stock market, and it was super accurate, and people wanted to know how we did what we did. And so eventually, at some point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I sat down and it took me at least a year to create this product. It probably took 2 years. But that became the story theme of my launch. It was basically I basically said, people have been asking me for this product for years and years and years. And I finally, after I got the 200th email or whatever, decided that I'm going to create this product. And then I started creating it and it became more and more work and I couldn't believe how much work it was but I'd already put in all this time, so I finally finished it and now it's ready for you. That's the reluctant hero. It was like, I've been asked by so many people to do this, I finally decided to do that. It tends to be a very compelling because it sort of got a built-in scarcity element that people wanted this. I had this secret, this magical potion, whatever. People really wanted it, and finally I'm revealing the secret. Finally I'm going to allow people to buy this from me. So reluctant hero, very powerful. Another one, there we go. Loss and redemption. So this is one you see a lot in Hollywood, in movies. It's like, every romantic comedy does this. You start off with this couple that's happy, or this male or this female that's happy, or maybe they're not happy, and at the end they're going to end up happy. But along the way, they're going to have all these horrible things happen to them before, at the end, they're going to be redeemed and they're going to have a great life. And I do have an element of the loss and redemption story in my overall peel-off story, because sometimes I tell this story of how my first business, I had a partnership breakup and my partner basically stole the business from me. And so I had this big down crash. And after that is when I built PLF. So it was loss and redemption. Another favorite is the underdog story. Everyone loves to root for the underdog. And really, this often ties into this loss and redemption because this person becomes a major underdog. It's like bad things happen, horrible things happen, and then even more horrible things happen, and then even more horrible things happen. There's just no way this person's going to come back, but somehow miraculously they come back. In most superhero Hollywood films, there's an element of the underdog story. Almost every superhero has a loss and redemption piece, and they become the underdog. So, and it's important to think about within the PLF world, where we have our 3 videos and then our sales video. Usually this isn't like the main theme throughout the entire thing. It's not reluctant hero. There's elements of the reluctant hero, but it's usually here in PLC 1, right? There's PLC 1, 2, 3 in the sales video. This is where reluctant hero will really come up. This is where loss and redemption is. Or sometimes in my launches, I've done reluctant hero here and then loss and redemption here. Okay, so these types of themes, you don't want to be too heavy-handed, and they don't often, they generally don't go out throughout your entire launch. Now, another one, which is super relevant to many of our types of business, and this goes along, these are sort of discovery and curation. And if you're going to be in the expert business, and many of us are in the expert business, the thought leader business, the guru business, how did you come up with what you came up with whatever you're selling? Whatever your expertise is, there's a way you acquired your expertise. And there's two primary ways. And you don't have to be one or the other, but there's two primary ways, and one is discovery, and the other is curation. So discovery is somehow through some crazy set of circumstances, you discovered this method. And that's me with PLF. So I started out so long ago that I didn't have, in the online business, that I didn't have anyone to learn from back then. So I discovered this process. I discovered the PLF process. Now curation is more like the story of Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. He interviewed 50 of the most successful people in the world. Somehow he has a whole story of how he got access to the 50 most successful people in the world. He interviewed all those people, and then he distilled down, he curated the top things that they did, the common themes that they did. So the PLF is more of a discovery. There's also a little bit of curation, because part of my story is when there was no one to learn from in the online marketing world, the online business world, I went back in time to the 1920s, the 1930s, and 1940s, 1950s, and looked at the direct marketing world. So and I curated pieces of that, and then I adapted it into online. So I sort of have pieces of both. And that's an important point here, is that none of these have to be exclusive. You can have elements of these different pieces. Another powerful theme, one I really don't tend to use very much, is revenge. And it's almost another way to think about it is common enemy. And common enemy is a weird thing, because if you think about it, nations go to war, and individuals in those nations go and they hold guns and they try to kill each other based on this idea of a common enemy. So people put their lives on the line when there's a common enemy involved. It's really powerful. I don't tend to like to use it very much, because I think there are some real negatives, some negative themes, some negative overtones, and maybe the people you tend to attract, the clients you'll tend to attract if you go real heavy with revenge, probably not the clients. They might not be the clients you want. They're usually not the clients I want. So I tend to avoid revenge. I mean, when I'm in this loss and redemption story where I had my business stolen from me by my ex-partner, I could go to revenge, but I tend to avoid it. It is powerful. I just mention it because it is super powerful. And sometimes a common enemy could be the regulators in your industry, or the IRS here in the United States, the tax division. There are times you can use that. Just not a huge fan of it. And then a final theme is, see if I get this right. See if I got that spelling right. Is ascension. And another way you can think about this is rags to riches. And this is basically in our kind of, again, thought leader business, expert business, you'll see this theme playing out a lot of basically I was down here and I learned these things and I got up here. That's very much my story. I started out with nothing. We were desperate. We didn't have much money. I was a stay-at-home dad for years and years and years. I committed career suicide. I'd been a failure in the corporate world. I had all these things. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to sell. I'd never had a business. My family was being supported by my wife. My family, my greater family, my extended family thought I was a failure. So I had all these things going against me. And then I started to figure out launches, and I got better and better and better and better. And then I was doing $1 million launches. That's rags to riches. That's an ascension story. Now, it's easy. One thing you got to be careful is when you are the thought leader, and you're on top of the world, and you have an amazing business, an amazing income, it's easy to come across as a huge ego. It's easy to not be relatable. And this ascension story helps you be more relatable. But you have to be careful in how you tell it so that you are relatable and that you're not bragging. You're not seen as just being a huge ego and bragging by the time you get to the end of that story. So here's those 7 themes. Again, you'll often use them more in the first video or in the first and second video and maybe reprise them or retell them in your sales video. It's usually not usually not the only story arc you go through here. You want to be following the PS path. You want to be delivering value. And these stories can deliver value, absolutely can, but you're also going to want to put some real meat in here. So this isn't the only thing you're doing. You want to be following that problem solution path, the PS path. But these are really powerful and they really pull people in generally early in your launch. So scroll down, leave a comment for me. Tell me if any of these stories resonate with you or what stories you might use in your launch.